Hey there, my name is LexC, and thank you so much for joining me for another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about the dangers of auto-tune and why I believe you should not use it while you're in the studio recording. There are a lot of artists in the music industry and a lot of artists in general who rely on auto-tune to correct and to fix the little imperfections that we all have in our singing voice or in our rapping voice. But I don't feel like a lot of people really understand what that means for their development, relying on auto-tune to fix those little imperfections. So in this video, I'm going to be using the example of a cover I did to Drake's song, Furthest Thing, and I'm going to be comparing my raw vocals to my auto-tuned vocals. So you're going to see me in the booth singing live, and also you're going to hear what the engineer would hear if I was recording with auto-tune on my voice. So let's go ahead and get started.
Somewhere between psychotic and iconic. Somewhere between I want it and I got it. Somewhere between I'm sober and I'm lifted. Somewhere between a mistress and commitment, but I stay down. Boy, I always stay down. Get down, have 'em laid down. Promise to break everybody up before I break down. Everyone just wait now. So much on my plate now. People I believed in, they don't even show their face now. What they got to say now? Nothing they can say now. Nothing really changed, but still they look at me away now. What more can I say now? What more can I say now? You might feel like nothing was the same. I still been drinking on the low, drinking on the low. Somewhere between psychotic and iconic. Somewhere between I want it and I got it. Somewhere between I'm sober and I'm lifted. Somewhere between a mistress and commitment, but I stay down. Boy, I always stay down. Get down, have 'em laid down. Promise to break everybody up before I break down. Everyone just wait now. So much on my plate now. People I believed in, they don't even show their face now. What they got to say now? Nothing they can say now. Nothing really changed, but still they looking me away now. What more can I say now? What more can I say now? You might feel like nothing was the same.
All right, so you've had the opportunity to hear how my raw vocals sound because you were in the booth with me as I was recording live, and that was my raw vocals with no auto-tune. You also had the opportunity to hear how I sound on the other side of the glass, behind the console, behind the desk where the engineer sits, and that's how my voice sounded with that nice pretty auto-tune effect put on there. So now that you've got to see what it looks like as far as being in the booth, now I want to show you what it looks like in a session and just do a side-by-side comparison once again of what those two sound like and the differences, and you can hear the differences very clearly. So this is what we recorded. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this track, copy the whole thing. Yes, yes. We're going to make these solo. We're going to keep auto-tune on this top one. We're going to take auto-tune off of here, and I'm going to label this one raw and also give it a different color to be able to better distinguish between the two. All right, mute that one. So we're first going to hear how the vocals sound with auto-tune on it.
Somewhere between psychotic and iconic. Somewhere between I want it and I got it. Somewhere between I'm sober and I'm lifted. Somewhere between a mistress and commitment, but I stay down. Boy, I always stay down. Get down, have 'em laid down. Promise to break everybody up before I break down. Everyone just wait now. So much on my plate now. People I believed in, they don't even show their face now. What they got to say now? Nothing they could say now. Nothing really changed, but still they looking me away now. What more can I say now? What more can I say now? You might feel like nothing was the same.
All right, so that is what I sound like with the auto-tune on my voice. Now let's hear how that same thing sounds with no auto-tune. This is completely raw. Let's listen.
Somewhere between psychotic and iconic. Somewhere between I want it and I got it. Somewhere between I'm sober and I'm lifted. Somewhere between a mistress and commitment, but I stay down. Boy, I always stay down. Get down, have 'em laid down. Promise to break everybody up before I break down. Everyone just wait now. So much on my plate now. People I believed in, they don't even show their face now. What they got to say now? Nothing they could say now. Nothing really changed, but still they looking me away now. What more can I say now? What more can I say now? You might feel like nothing was the same.
All right, so now you've heard what these two things sound like, one with auto-tune and one without auto-tune. Hopefully you also heard it when you were actually watching me in the booth recording it, but on the track that has no auto-tune on it with my raw vocals, you can obviously hear, and I can obviously hear, where I was very flat. And for me as an artist, that's something that I struggle with, and that's one reason why I decided to stop recording with auto-tune on songs that I'm really serious about anyway. When it comes to songs like these covers, it's not necessarily a big issue for me, but that's for another video. When I'm recording my own stuff, I like to make sure that I'm recording without auto-tune for a few reasons that I'm gonna give you a list of. But you can hear how flat I was in all of those little imperfections, and this is what your recordings are going to sound like before effects were put on. Now, I have some EQ, compression, and de-esser, and you also heard the reverb and the delay in there, but you heard the imperfections of me hitting my notes in a flat way, and you also hear the imperfections of those, I don't know what to call it, they're like spit sounds in between. That's the sound of my tongue moving around in my mouth, that nasty, crackly spit sound. So before your vocals are edited, that's what you really sound like. And it can be kind of weird because we hear ourselves when we're recording, and when we speak in general, we hear ourselves from the inside out. So when we hear our voice back, it's already kind of strange. And then hearing those raw vocals with all those imperfections, it can seem a little bit discouraging. But the reason why I recommend recording without auto-tune is because, you know, you get to pick out those imperfections and you can work on them, and you can develop strengths, right? So I really just wanted to show you this comparison side by side because, you know, I want you to be aware of what it sounds like, what you really sound like, so that when you go out to do shows, you're not surprised if you don't sound that great live. Well, you don't want to rely on auto-tune. You want to develop that voice and you want to get better. So you're not in a situation where if you don't have auto-tune available, suddenly you're not a great artist. I don't want you to go through that. So that's the reason for this whole video in the first place. So I just want to point out a few more lines in this particular song. Now, there were some parts in here. There were some parts in here that sounded pretty good on my raw vocals, that sounded comparable to the auto-tune vocals. So let me play that for you real quick as soon as I get my life together. Okay, so let me play this for you.
Everyone just wait now. So much on my plate now. People are so much on my plate now.
I think that's what I wanted you to hear. So much on my plate now.
So much on my plate now.
Let's hear it.
So much on my plate now.
So that's not bad, right?
So much on my plate now.
Whoa.
So much on my plate now.
That's raw.
So much on my plate now.
And I'm going to play the tune for you again.
So much on my plate now. So much on my plate now.
So in that sense, on those particular lines anyway, I actually did a pretty good job of singing it. But again, if you go back to these lines in the beginning, it's super flat.
Somewhere between psychotic and iconic.
That was me, my raw voice. Now here's the auto-tune.
Somewhere between psychotic and iconic.
You hear that difference? And if you're having kind of a hard time hearing the difference, then feel free to rewind this video as many times as you need to really understand what auto-tune is doing. So I'm hitting those flat notes, but auto-tune is fixing it for me in real time. So I couldn't hear it for myself. And again, I didn't have one headphone off of my ear to hear myself singing live. But I didn't hear it from myself because auto-tune was automatically correcting everything in real time, and I didn't notice that I was hitting those flat notes. But yeah, so now that you've seen and heard the difference in how I really sound and how auto-tune makes me sound, let's talk about why you should record without auto-tune. And I've come up with a list of 4 reasons.
All right. Reason number 1, recording without auto-tune helps you to become a better singer. It is my belief that you will only become a better singer when you're able to point out those little imperfections and those little flaws that you otherwise would not be able to hear if you record with auto-tune on. What a lot of people don't realize is when you're recording with auto-tune live, like that's what you hear back in your voice while you're recording, or back in your headphones while you're recording, auto-tune is automatically correcting those things real time as you sing it. So you don't know if you're making any mistakes because everything that's coming out of your mouth is perfect. And in my opinion, recording with auto-tune can make you a lazy artist because you are depending on this software, this digital tool, to make you sound better. But if you never listen to yourself and hear what your raw vocals sound like, you don't know what it is you need to work on. You don't know what you have to get better at. So that's part of becoming a better singer. You need to be able to hear what your natural, unique voice sounds like. Otherwise, you're not improving as an artist and you won't become, you won't develop, you won't grow. Also, by not relying on auto-tune, you also have a better sense of self-awareness because you have to learn how to manipulate your voice and the shape of your throat or your vocal cords to achieve certain sounds, to achieve certain notes, to be able to know when to hit a high note, a low note, a sharp note, a flat note. So you develop more self-awareness and you get a better understanding of how you need to breathe and how you need to source your air to be able to hit these notes. Whereas before, auto-tune was correcting it for you, so you didn't have to try so hard and you didn't necessarily have to know where your breath was coming from or how you needed to actually sing the song. It's a very common misconception a lot of people have with auto-tune. It just makes you become a better artist. I said you're not being lazy. You start to learn proper techniques and habits for singing because, again, you're no longer relying on that auto-tune. I think I covered my point in reason number 1. It helps you to become a better singer. Reason number 2, recording without auto-tune helps you to become a better listener. Now, as I've mentioned before, when you finally get to hear your natural, regular voice, you're hearing all of those little imperfections. So now you have a better understanding of what it is you really sound like, and auto-tune actually helps you understand what you want to sound like. So you become a better listener without using auto-tune because you can now you can now hear, because you can't see sound, but you can now hear when your notes are probably too flat or if your notes are probably too sharp. And no tune means you have a better perception of hearing and you probably have a better ear for pitch. So again, becoming a better artist, you want to be a better listener for yourself. That just leads back into body awareness, as I spoke on with reason number 1. So you'll start to hear more detail in your voice and in your music because now you're having to take more effort to hear what is right, what is actually happening versus what you want to happen. And you'll be able to adjust accordingly and you'll become a better artist for it. I think I'm going to be driving that point home in this video a lot. You're just going to become a better artist if you struggle through recording without auto-tune. Reason number 3, recording without auto-tune helps you to get to know and appreciate yourself as an artist. The thing that can be a little bit discouraging, I think, for a lot of newer artists who are coming into the game, people don't realize that everybody does use auto-tune, but it's all about how you use it. So the point that I really want to make with this is, if you're using it the wrong way, you end up sounding like everybody else, and you definitely want to keep that unique sound of yourself. You want to know your unique and your natural tone because that's what makes you you, and that's what's going to make you stand out to your fans, to your audience, that natural voice. So you get to know and appreciate yourself more. You get a better sense of self-awareness because, again, you're learning better techniques to take care of your voice, better techniques to manipulate the air coming out of your body. So now you have a better sense of where that breath is coming from and how you can contort and manipulate and control your body to make these different sounds. What other points do I have on this? Yeah, that's really all I had for reason number 3. You get to know and appreciate yourself more. So finally, reason number 4, recording without auto-tune boosts your confidence. So it boosts your confidence because you no longer have to rely on the effect of auto-tune to know that you're a good singer. You don't have to have auto-tune in a live recording situation or a live show situation, excuse me. A lot of people don't realize that nowadays technology has made everything so accessible for everybody. And technology has made it possible for like an oversaturation of the market. So everybody believes that they can be an artist and all they need is auto-tune to make them great. But that's not necessarily how this thing works. And a lot of times during live shows, there's technology now where people can record or can perform with auto-tune live. And so there's definitely somewhat of a discouragement for people to sing with their natural voice. But when you record without auto-tune and you develop your natural voice, you have the confidence to know that no matter what situation you're placed in, no matter what tools you have available to you, your voice is going to sound good. Another thing is when you're recording, let's say your engineer has to send over your vocals to another mix engineer, but they have to send it raw. Well, I mean, no one else is going to know but the engineers, but you want to make sure that you're sounding good with those raw cuts of those vocals, because let's say that you don't have all of those tools necessary. Again, no matter what you're using, you're always going to sound good. Also, it boosts your confidence because the auto-tune is not always right, which is another thing a lot of people don't realize about auto-tune. So you may be hitting a note in a song that is actually right or it goes with the song, but because auto-tune is sticking within a certain parameter or a certain range of keys, it's not allowing you to hit that note without having that weird robotic sound, right? So you'll have the ability to experiment with various riffs and more complicated notes and more complicated keys within your music because you know what you're doing with your voice, you know how to source your breathing, you know how to manipulate your voice to make it hit those notes that you want it to hit. So that's reason number 4. Quick sip of water for myself. Those are my 4 reasons why you should record without auto-tune. You know, it helps you to become a better singer, you become a better listener, you get to know and appreciate yourself, and it boosts your confidence. So now, when to use auto-tune? My recommendation, if you're going to use auto-tune, I would say use it for a light correction of notes and a light correction of timing. Maybe you're slightly flat or maybe you're slightly sharp. It can be used to correct that. And your timing, maybe you're too slow, maybe you're a little too ahead of the beat. I don't know. When should you use auto-tune? If you want that sound, if you want that digital, robotic, futuristic sound, then you could also use auto-tune and let the effects be noticeable. A lot of people would probably sort T-Pain as a good source for that. He has figured out the science behind auto-tune and how to use it to his advantage, and he's created his own sound around that. But everybody shouldn't be wanting to sound like T-Pain. You should want to sound like yourself, so you should be trying to figure out what your natural voice sounds like. And auto-tune, it is a tuner, so a lot of people don't realize that. It's not just for singers, it's also used for musicians to be able to tune their instruments. So what you can do is you can critique yourself, and just like I did in this video today, you can record your raw vocals, and then you can put auto-tune on it to hear how you want to sound. So listen to the auto-tune version first, and then listen to the raw sound to see how your natural voice is, and then pick out those little imperfections just like we did in this video and practice getting those notes better, practice those lines, practice your timing. And in that sense, auto-tune is going to be really good for, you know, helping you develop that singing voice, helping your voice to be better. I think that's all I have for you. Yeah, that concludes the video. Those are my 4 reasons why I believe you should record without auto-tune. So it's probably going to take a lot more time to finish your song, and you are going to have to do more takes, honestly. But for the 4 reasons that I listed, I think it's worth it. And again, you're going to become a better artist, and that's what all of this is all about. This is all for you, the artist. That's what this whole thing is about. And I think I already said that. But anyway, yeah, so if you found anything in this video helpful or insightful, please give me a big thumbs up. If you like this kind of content and you want to see more videos like this, please make sure you subscribe and also hit the notification bell next to the subscribe button so you can be notified each and every time I post a new video. If you have any comments or questions, you can leave those in the comment section below, or feel free to email me at info@lexcatl.com. But again, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate your time. My name is LexC. Until next time, peace.
Promise to break everybody off before I break down. Everyone just wait now. So much on my plate now. People I believed in, they don't even show their face now. What they got to say now? Nothing they can say now. Nothing really changed, but still they look at me away now. What more can I say now? What more can I say now? You might feel like nothing was the same. I still been drinking on the low, mobbing on the low.
We have the reverse. Render that. See how it sounds.
Touch me on my nigga coming ready to ride.
That's how the reverse is going to sound. If I slow it down, this is how it's going to sound.
Touch me on my nigga coming ready to ride.
So depending on what you think sounds best with the track, or what you